A man pleads guilty to aggravated sexual assault of a child, a crime that reportedly began when the victim was just 5. In a courtroom packed with emotion, his family pleads for probation, but the judge must weigh justice, trauma, and the law. What followed was a sentencing that left the courtroom silent.
The victim impact statement and review all of this. So my question is, why should I be following an agreement of a cap of 12 when I'm assuming, State, you're saying that this is a horrendous offense that has occurred? All right, the court is calling 2024 CR 006824 State versus Marco Antonio Moreno. Can I have parties announce?
Ashley Jones for the state.
Christine Brown on behalf of Marco Antonio Moreno.
And are you Mr. Moreno?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you entered a plea in this case to count 1 of no contest on May 27th. According to your plea bargaining agreement, punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 12 years in the prison. The state is opposed to your application, and there's restitution. I'm sorry, and there's registration and no contact with the complainant. And there was a PSI that was completed in this case. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report?
Yes.
Any objections?
The defense objects on page 3 where restitution is discussed. If you were to look at the plea bargain paperwork, restitution was never something that was brought forward by the state. It was not a term of the agreement. There has also been some concern as to the documentation supporting what is proposed as $4,000 as restitution for certain medical expenses. And I have been in communication with probation officer Gloria Medina yesterday morning, who called me telling me that no documentation was provided to her to substantiate that restitution amount. Yesterday, I filed a motion requesting a restitution hearing. As we all know, Odyssey is down and so is e-filing, so it has yet to be accepted. But that is something that we are requesting if that is something that this court still wants to consider.
All right. Well, unless the court receives adequate documentation of restitution, then there's not going to be restitution. So, State, do you have any? And there was a PSI that was completed in this case. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report?
Yes.
Any objections?
The defense objects on page 3 where restitution is discussed. If you were to look at the plea bargain paperwork, restitution was never something that was brought forward by the state. It was not a term of the agreement. There has also been some concern as to the documentation supporting what is proposed as $4,000 as restitution for certain medical expenses. And I have been in communication with probation officer Gloria Medina yesterday morning, who called me telling me that no documentation was provided to her to substantiate that restitution amount. Yesterday, I filed a motion requesting a restitution hearing. As we all know, Odyssey is down and so is e-filing, so it has yet to be accepted. But that is something that we are requesting if that is something that this court still wants to consider.
All right. Well, unless the court receives adequate documentation of restitution, then there's not going to be restitution. So, State, do you have any itemized billing?
Your Honor, I have not had a chance to speak with our witnesses regarding the restitution. As defense counsel said, I didn't get the motion for restitution.
So if both
I
parties,
just served you, but I understand it has yet to be accepted by the court.
all right, so if both parties are in agreement, we can go forward with the PSI, and with regards to restitution, that can be determined at a later date if there is any restitution.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are both parties in agreement with that?
Yes, we're in agreement.
All right, so the state is opposed. State, do you have any witnesses?
Your Honor, no, we do not have any witnesses, just arguing.
All right, defense, do you have any witnesses?
Yes, we would like to call Stephen Thorne.
All right, Mr. Thorne is by Zoom. Any objection to the witness appearing by Zoom?
Not the state, Your Honor.
And I know you have no objection, counsel, correct?
No.
And Mr. Moreno, do you have any objection to the witness appearing by Zoom?
No, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Thorne, if you could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
Dr. Stephen Thorne.
All right, you may proceed.
All right. Dr. Thorne, my apologies for addressing you with Mr. Pryor.
Oh, that's okay.
Could you please state your profession for the record?
I'm a licensed psychologist in the state of Texas.
And circling back to your profession as a licensed psychologist, where is your place of employment?
I work in a lot of different areas across Texas and other states, but my office is in Austin, Texas.
And so are you self-employed?
Yes, ma'am. I'm in private practice.
And how long have you been in private practice?
I think this August, I think next month will be 23 years, I believe.
And how long have you been a licensed psychologist in the state of Texas?
That same amount. I think in August it'll be 23 years. So.
Are there other states in which you have licensing?
Not full time, like to a lot of states. If I go testify in those states, I'll have to have like a temporary license. So at any point in time, I may have like temporary license in a couple of different states just when I go testify there, but not full time.
And what is the extent of the education and training received to obtain your credentials?
I have a bachelor's degree in psychology from Austin College in Sherman, Texas, just about an hour north of Dallas. And I have a PhD in clinical psychology from the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center at Dallas.
And are these specialized degrees?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, the undergraduate degree is just a general psychology degree, but yes, the doctoral degree is in clinical psychology.
And Dr. Thorne, could you please briefly describe the subject matter of your specialty?
Probably at least 95% or more of my practice is forensic in nature, meaning I do evaluations, consulting, testimony, and legal cases. I testify for, the state. I testify for defense attorneys. I do work at the request of judges and probation departments. I do work for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. So I kind of do evaluations or consulting or testimony for different parties in the legal system. And I do a few other things that don't involve the courts, but the large majority of what I do in some way involves the legal system.
And you mentioned evaluations. Could you specifically mention what kinds and the proportion of they use?
Most of my evaluations are related to sex offenses, either a risk assessment for sentencing purposes, or I do a lot of what they call the civil commitment of sexually violent predator evaluations as well. I also do things like competency and sanity and adult certification, child custody, family law evaluations. But if there's one area that most of my evaluations and testimony is in, it's in sex-related evaluations.
All right, so just to be clear, a topic of your specialty would include sex offender risk assessment?
Yes, ma'am.
And so have you conducted personal examinations or testing of alleged or convicted sex offenders?
I couldn't hear the last part of that. Of what?
Alleged or convicted sex offenders.
Oh, sure. Yes, ma'am.
And how many of these tests, if you can provide a number more or less, how many of these tests or examinations were conducted by yours?
I mean, over 1,000, maybe 1,500, 2,000, I'll say 1,500 just in be an estimate.
And you mentioned that this was your specialty. Do you teach or lecture in the field of sex offender risk assessment?
Yeah, not teach per se, but yes, I speak at forensic conferences for probation officers, mental health professionals, attorneys, judges, about a number of different forensic topics, including, sexual risk assessments.
And so what publications have you authored in this field of sex offender risk assessment?
I don't do a ton of writing, but I haven't published anything specific to sexual recidivism. My publications about in journal articles or book chapters have been about antisocial personality disorder and psychopathy.
And is that an aspect that you test for when you conduct these risk assessments?
Sure, particularly antisocial personality disorder is one of or antisocial traits in general is one of the primary risk factors we look at in these types of cases.
And Dr. Thorne, I know that you're virtually testifying today. I have sent you what has been pre-marked as Defendant's Exhibit 1, and I did tender a copy of that proposed exhibit to the state for inspection.
Okay.
And without telling me what it is, do you recognize it?
Is one, I believe, is a copy of the report I wrote in this case, or is, is one my CV? I can't. I mean,
There were two attachments.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to pull that up. Exhibit one is my CV. So this is a copy of kind of our resume, our curriculum vitae.
And is this a fair and accurate depiction of your curriculum vitae or CV?
Yes, ma'am, it appears to be.
At this time, we are offering into evidence Defendant's Exhibit 1, the curriculum vitae of Dr. Stephen Thorne.
The state would just object on Thursday. He's here to testify about
All right.
clarifications.
If I could. And your objection to is what?
Just here, so Your Honor.
All right, that objection will be overruled. Defense exhibit number 1 will be admitted.
And Your Honor, pursuant to the Rule 702, the Texas Rules of Evidence, I am tendering Dr. Stephen Thorne as a qualified expert witness in the field of sex offender risk assessment.
He doesn't have an objection.
All right, then that will be granted, and the court will note that he's an expert in the field.
Thank you, Judge. Dr. Thorne, are you familiar with the specific risk assessment tools used in this particular case?
Yes, ma'am.
And how does this particular risk assessment work as it pertains to Mr. Moreno?
Well, they allow us to kind of collect information relating to risk factors. Like, I'll try to give a short answer, but in doing a risk assessment, we look at, are there any factors that the research suggests can increase a individual's risk for sexual recidivism or decrease an individual's risk for sexual recidivism? And so like the RSVP and the static 99R, those are two different factors or two different assessment measures that kind of help organize those risk factors and protective factors so that we can apply them to the person we're evaluating, in this case being Mr. Moreno.
And so are these forms of assessments accepted as reliable in the scientific community?
Sure. I mean, these are assessment measures that I use regardless of which side hires me. They're commonly used, commonly researched in the field. Yeah, they're
Just one moment, please.
Sure.
Sorry. All right, counsel, I'm sorry about that. You may proceed.
No worries. And so now I want to show you what has been pre-marked Defendant's Exhibit 2. I have tendered a copy of that exhibit to the state. If you can access that, let me know when you have it ready.
I have it.
And without telling me what it is, do you recognize it?
Yes, ma'am.
And could you identify that exhibit for the record?
A copy of the report I wrote in this case relating to Mr. Moreno.
And when was that report made?
It was last week. I wrote it on June 5th.
You mean July 5th?
July 5th. I'm sorry. July 5th.
No problem. And is this a fair and accurate depiction of the risk assessment report you completed for Mr. Moreno?
Yeah, it sure appears to be. Yes, ma'am.
All right. At this time, we offer into evidence Defendant's Exhibit 2, the sex offender risk assessment report of Dr. Stephen Thorne.
Again, objects on Thursday, Your Honor.
All right, that objection will be overruled. Defense exhibit number 2 is admitted. All right, you may proceed, counsel.
And so if you could be a little more specific, I know you provided some general details. What methods and principles did you employ in this specific risk assessment?
Well, I performed a clinical interview of Mr. Moreno. I reviewed records relating to the current offense, both the indictment, the offense report, some letters and notes relating to the offense. And then I administered various, psychological or actuarial measures, the adult self-assessment inventory, the MMPI-2 RF, the personal problems checklist for adults, the static 99R, and the RSVP.
And so you had mentioned factors that decrease or increase the likelihood of committing a sex offense in the future. Could you specifically outline what factors were examined with respect to Mr. Moreno?
Well, when looking at, again, what we call like risk factors or protective factors, and looking at some of the risk factors, he has a conviction for a sex offense or for sex offenses committed against, minor children. So that, the age of the age of the victim is important, as that's thought to be a risk factor. He does have a history of non-sexual criminal behavior, and as we referenced earlier, like antisocial traits is a particular risk factor in these types of cases. So his history of non-sexual criminal offenses is relevant to consider as well. No,
I don't want to interrupt, but I did hear you mention something about sexual offenses against children. Just to be clear, were there any, upon reviewing the history of Marco Moreno, were there any past indicators of a criminal history regarding sex offenses against children, aside from this instant case?
Yeah, not prior to this case. So when I was talking about he has a, relating to a conviction in this case for having an underage female victim, but no prior, so no prior sexual offenses.
And so based on your overall assessment, what is your professional opinion, your professional and expert opinion regarding Mr. Moreno's risk?
Well, I should say, I think you'd asked me about factors I considered. I only got to the protective factors, or only got to the risk factors. I did not get to the protective factors, if you want me to address those as well.
Sure.
Okay. The protective factors are he doesn't have any previous convictions for a sex offense. Sex offenders who have a single sentencing occasion for a sex offense are thought to have lower levels of recidivism than those who have multiple sentencing occasions for a sex offense. He doesn't have any male victims. He doesn't have any stranger victims. He doesn't have any victims outside of his family, or any documented victims, I should say. He doesn't appear to have a history of significant psychiatric issues that might increase his risk for sexual deviancy. He seems to at times have had a history of social support and had a history of ability to maintain employment. So those are some of the protective factors that we look at in these types of cases. And then his age. He's currently in an age group where at that age, we expect to see, statistically speaking, we expect to see lower levels of sexual recidivism. So those are some of the protective factors.
And so taking all of these factors into account, what is your assessment regarding Mr. Moreno's risk?
Yeah, I would say he's a relatively low risk for sexual recidivism. And, that's kind of supported, again, by the protective factors and the risk factors, but also the scoring of the static 99R and the RSVP. So again, my overall opinion is he's presently a low risk for sexual recidivism.
And so regarding the possibility of deferred adjudication community supervision, are you in a position to recommend any kinds of conditions that may be helpful to Mr. Moreno?
And Your Honor, I just would object that this is outside of his scope. He was listed as an expert in sexual predator recidivism rates.
All right. That'll be overruled. I'll let him answer.
I wouldn't have a lot of specific recommendations, about conditions of probation or supervision outside of, I do think sex offender treatment would be appropriate. I think research shows that individuals who successfully complete sex offender treatment, that can lower their risk for recidivism compared to those who are unable to complete a comprehensive sex offender treatment program. So my one, I guess, recommendation relating to that would be that he participate in and successfully complete, a comprehensive sex offender treatment program.
All right, no further questions. Thank you, Dr. Thorne.
Any
Yes, ma'am.
questions?
Briefly, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Dr. Thorne. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but I can't see you, but I can hear you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, my name's Ashley Jones. I'm the prosecutor in this case, and I just had a couple questions regarding to the risk factors that you use to give
Sure.
your opinion.
Yes, ma'am.
It seems that a multitude of them are reliant upon Mr. Moreno's self-disclosure. Would you agree with me on that?
I would, not all. I mean, some are confirmed by the records, but yes, I would agree that some of that is dependent upon his self-report.
Right. And so you would agree with me that Mr. Moreno likely wouldn't admit to any other sexual offenses if there were any other sexual offenses, right?
I don't know that I would use the term likely. I'm not trying to quibble with you. Some people do, some people don't, but I can say I'm not surprised if people don't admit to any undocumented victims. So I hope that makes sense.
It does. Thank you. And as a psychologist, you would know that it's hard for kids to speak out about sexual violations that have occurred to them.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
And so, and I think you mentioned earlier in your testimony that there are no other documented victims, but you're not saying there aren't any other victims out there.
Right. And that's exactly why I try to use that term, documented victims, documented by arrest or conviction. Because yeah, sometimes people have victims that don't result in arrest or conviction. So I try to use that specific language for that reason.
And I do believe in your report, you stated that no one factor can accurately predict whether a defendant will commit another sexual offense. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And so you're not saying that Mr. Moreno wouldn't commit another sexual offense. You're just saying based off his self-disclosures and what you've read, the risk is low.
Yeah, first of all, I would never say that about anybody, that they will or won't commit a sex offense in the future. But yeah, my opinion about low risk is based off, again, not just his self-report, but also information in the offense report, what he's convicted of, and probably most importantly, an application of the research to his particular case. So
yeah, and just going to the procedures used in evaluation, it was a clinical interview with him.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, an adult assessment, self-assessment, so one that he did, right?
Yes, he kind of checked yes or no to a number of items on that measure.
And then there was this Minnesota multiphasic personality inventory number 2. And I do believe in your report you stated his test results should be interpreted with caution. Is that correct?
Right, correct.
And that would be because there's history of underreporting when the self is underreporting in that test. Is that correct?
Yeah, on that particular test, it wasn't invalid. It wasn't to the point it was invalid, but it did suggest maybe a reluctance to admit certain shortcomings, weaknesses, problem areas. So that's why I qualified that in the report.
And then the personal problems checklist for adults, that was also completed by Mr. Moreno.
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Any other questions?
No further questions for this witness. May he be excused?
Yes. Thank you so much for coming, Dr. Thorne.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate it.
Any other witnesses?
Yes, the defendant's called Oralia Gas.
All right. Can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up because the court reporter is taking down everything, okay?
Yes.
All right, if you'll state your name for the record.
Oralia Gas.
All right, does she need, you need spelling? Yes, please.
It is Hidalia. Last name is Resbendiz.
All right, you may proceed, counsel.
Ms. Besnadiz, what is your relationship to Marco Moreno?
Marco Moreno is my brother.
And are you his older sister or younger sister?
Older.
And how would you describe your relationship with Marco?
I would describe it as a really good relationship.
And what examples could you give of how you have a really good relationship?
We would talk in the phone even if we didn't see each other very often, but even when I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, we would call from time to time. We would just text to see how we were doing. And after we moved here, on weekends, most of the weekends, we would meet up at my mother's house and just to visit, sit there, talk, and just hang out in my mom's house.
And so where is your mother's house?
She lives in 2618 West Trail,
All right, what city?
San Antonio.
And what is your relationship to the victim in this case?
To the victim in this case, she was, I considered her like my step niece,
And why would you say Stephanie's?
because I felt like sometimes she opened up to me and I saw her like that, like a niece.
All right, and so how often would you interact with this family, including your brother and the victim in this case?
From time to time, maybe once a month. My brother was more often, and as well as his children, but with the victim in this case would be from time to time, every now and then, even when I lived in Georgia, sometimes I would text her.
I'm sorry, could you keep your voice up just a little bit for me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you may proceed.
Yes.
And so what was the extent of your interactions with the victim and her family while this case was pending?
Well, I went to visit probably twice. Once, it was almost after my brother Moreno was arrested.
And what were your observations during those times?
My observations, well, within the home was filthy. The home was filthy and.
How would you
Your Honor, I'm
describe
gonna
that?
object to relevance.
Judge, may I respond?
Yes.
So the Article 42A102 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure allows a judge to place a defendant on deferred adjudication for this offense. But what must be considered is that this would be in the best interest of the victim. We are going into a discussion that we believe would assist the court in making that determination.
All right, the objection would be overruled.
Yes, the home was dirty. It was messy. That's what I noticed.
What do you mean by dirty or messy?
There was things all over the place, including the floor, the table. There was hardly anywhere to sit.
And what do you mean by hardly anywhere to sit?
There was things all over the place, all over, like items.
How many children were in that home?
From what I saw, it was my niece and nephew,
How old are they?
6 and 9.
And who else was in that home the last time you were there?
There was a man that opened the door, or he opened the door, and then when he saw us, he shut the door, immediately shut the door. And so I don't know, I've never seen him.
So after that interaction with that man, what happened?
After that interaction, well, he shut the door, and then we continued knocking until the victim's mother came to open the door.
All right. And then without saying names, how did that interaction proceed from there?
Well, that interaction proceeded where
Well, what did you learn from that interaction?
the victim's mother was saying that
Objection to
saying
accusation.
Sustain.
she was saying
Excuse me,
Sounds
you know, you're not allowed to repeat what other people have said. All right. So when either party makes an objection, I'm going to make a ruling. If you don't understand my ruling, just let me know. You can say, do I still continue to answer or not? Okay.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
no problem. So in that situation, you're not allowed to say what anyone said. You understand?
Yes.
All right. So that objection will be sustained.
And so without going into what anyone has said or told you, what was your understanding of the family dynamics based on your observations and interactions?
The family dynamics to me is I don't feel like it's a good situation there.
Why is it not a good situation there?
Based from what I saw, I feel that no children should be staying in a filthy house.
And To your knowledge, who was supervising these children, to include the victim and the
To my knowledge, a lot of times the victim was supervising the children.
and how old is the victim?
The victim, now she is 16.
How old was she when you had personal knowledge or observations of this?
She must have been about 14, 15 years old.
And just to be clear, how long have you known the victim?
It has been probably 6 to 7 years.
Right. And so I want to talk more about your brother. What assurances could you provide this court if his application for deferred adjudication were approved that he has a foundation to be successful on deferred adjudication?
Well, I would, on my behalf, I would call him and go to where he would be staying. I would call him and make sure that he is following up and keep track of his, if he has any appointments with his officers or anything, I would keep up with that, find out, put it on my calendar if I have to, give him a call. And if I'm able to, I'll take him myself because I want him to succeed and I know he will.
Okay.
And where would he be staying if he were released?
He will be staying at my mother's house at 2618 Fitzgerald, here in San Antonio.
And what more would you like the court to know with regard to his application?
I know he is, I know he will, I know he's learned his lesson. I know he's a hard worker. And he has a lot of support at home. He does. He has a lot of support. We will all keep an eye on them and make sure that he follows through. And I know he will.
Nothing further.
All right, State.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, good morning.
Good morning.
Ms. Endes. So you're the defendant's sister?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And his older sister, do you have any children of your own?
Yes, I do.
What are their ages?
They range anywhere from 22 to 36. 37, sorry.
Do you have any grandchildren?
Yes, I do. I have 6 grandchildren, 1 great grandchild.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What are the age ranges for the 6 grandchildren?
The ages are almost a 2-year-old all the way to a 21-year-old.
And what about your great grandchild?
He's 3.
3?
Yes.
And I think you said he's a little boy.
Yes.
All right. And I want to talk about you're here today. How do you know about, or what do you know of this offense? What do you think happened?
What do I think happened?
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna be 100% honest. I feel like they wanted to get him out of the house so he doesn't have contact with the children.
So you don't believe he did this at all?
No.
And so then you, not believing that he did this at all, you wouldn't have any concerns about bringing your children, grandchildren,
No.
great-grandchild around him? Okay. No further questions, Your Honor?
All right. Any other questions?
Yes, just briefly.
Sure.
And Mr. Sendiz, I understand that this may be a very difficult question for me to ask, but it relates to what the state has asked you. As it pertains to child abuse and the topic of child sexual abuse, what personal experiences have you had?
Objection to relevance, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Can you proceed?
Yes, you can proceed.
I have personally, my oldest daughter, when she was 13, she was beat and abused, sexually abused. So for me, if I knew my brother was guilty, I would have supported him because I know how that feels.
All right. So here's the thing. I want to thank you so much for giving me some insight into your brother. And I understand that sometimes when relatives come to testify, people want them to say that they believe this is true, right? And if you don't believe it's true, that's fine. And I'm not going to hold it against your brother that you don't believe it's true.
Right.
So I want you to know that when people come and testify, all I want them to do is tell the truth.
Yes.
And when you tell the truth, it doesn't negatively impact your brother. So the fact that you don't believe that he didn't commit this offense, that's not going to negatively impact him. I'm just trying to get some insight about him through the witnesses that are called so that I can make an appropriate decision in this case. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is there anything else?
Nothing further.
Anything else? All right. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
in. All right. Next witness.
Yes, at this time, the defense calls Juan Moreno to testify.
All right. Could we let me just take a short recess so I can take up a couple of more cases and then I'll continue.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. August 5th is final discovery. Yes. And it's defense discovery. All right. We're back on the record in 2024 CR 006824. State versus Marco Moreno. Defense, you have another witness?
Yes. At this time, the defense calls Juan Moreno to testify.
And is he the person who needs an interpreter?
No, I apologize for that. There was a misunderstanding.
So there's no witness who needs an
There
interpreter?
is, she's coming after.
No.
You wanted-
We need that person first because the interpreter has other courts they need to go to.
Okay, I apologize. for
No
that.
problem.
So at this time, we would like to, you'll be coming back, but we would like to call Oralia G. Velazquez to testify.
And does she need a chair? Could somebody get her a chair, please? Thank you, Duffy.
I just asked her if she was hard of hearing, but she said she could hear fine.
All right, thank you. And the interpreter, you're still under oath.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
All
you.
right, Miss, could you raise your right hand for me, please?
As Marco's mother takes a stand, the courtroom watches closely. Her words are filled with pain, but will they be enough to sway the judge toward leniency?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. So make sure you keep your voice up so that the interpreter can hear.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, defense, you may proceed.
Ma'am, could you please state your full name for the record?
My full name is Oralia Velazquez.
And could you please spell your name for the court reporter?
Oralia Galadis Velazquez.
De
De Vasquez.
Are you able to spell your name letter by
All right,
letter?
so let's do this. If no one has any objection, is there anyone here who can just give a note to the court reporter for the spelling of her name?
Yes. I
All
can
right.
do that now. if we-
We can do that after testimony. So is there any objection to that?
Say-
Is there anyone who believes that the witness is not who she says she is?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you may ask your next question.
And Ms. Velazquez, what is your relationship to Marco Moreno?
Es mi relación. Es buena relación.
We had
Llevamos buena relación mi hijo y yo.
we have a good relationship, my son and myself.
All right. And so if your son were to be released from jail and granted deferred adjudication, community supervision, where would he be living?
Sería vivir conmigo.
He would go to live with me.
And where do you currently live?
En 2618
have in your life at the time of his arrest?
Él estaba conmigo, cuidándome, ayudándome.
He
Porque
was
ya estaba enferma.
he was with me, taking care of me when I was sick.
And how has Marco helped you with your current health problems?
Pues, como ahorita muchas veces no me puedo levantar. Estoy sentada y él me da la mano. Me lleva mi camino para el baño.
So right now-
Mi cámara.
Right now, since I can get up, he sometimes picks me up. He grabs me by the arm and he takes me to my bedroom or the bathroom.
And just to be clear, this was before he was incarcerated in the jail.
Sí, fue.
Yes, before.
And how would your life be affected if Marco were sentenced to a term in prison?
Sería muy triste para mí.
It would be very sad for me.
Yo pienso que yo recaería más
I think I would relapse even more.
de lo que ya estoy. Y
Of
me
what
van
I
a
am.
hacer una cirugía y él podría ayudarme.
And I'm gonna get a surgery so he could help me with it.
And what assurances can you provide the court that Marco would follow all terms and conditions of deferred adjudication if the court approves that application?
Él ha aprendido mucho de esto.
Yes.
Y ya ha pedido perdón a Dios y a nosotros también.
He has learned a lot through this, and he has apologized to God and to ourselves as well.
And what more would you like the court to consider when it is reviewing Marco's application for deferred adjudication?
No comprendí. No tengo quien me lleve a las citas médicas.
I would like her to consider that I don't have anyone to take me to the medical appointments.
Pudiera tener la posibilidad de que él me llevara.
And if I could have the possibility for him to take me to those appointments.
All right, nothing further.
Any questions?
Yes, Your Honor.
Gracias.
Good, sorry. Good morning, Ms. Vasquez.
Good morning.
And you know that Marco has been incarcerated for about a year now, is that correct?
A little bit more than a year, yes.
A little bit more than a year. And you have your other children here in San Antonio?
Sí.
And they've
Yes.
been helping you for the past year while Marco's been incarcerated?
Y batallando
Yes,
porque ellos están trabajando.
struggling because they are working.
But they've been able to take you to your appointments and go visit you at your home.
Sí me visitan de vez en cuando me llaman.
They visit me once in a while or they call me.
So how have you been getting to your appointments for the past year?
Mi hija ha estado llevándome, faltando el trabajo.
My daughter has been taking me, but she has been missing work.
Porque sí, pues también tiene que faltar el trabajo para mí.
And another of my children also has to get work so they can take me.
And who do you live with at home?
Entonces, vienen uno de mis hijos conmigo.
One of my children lives with me.
Okay, and so they're helping you while Marco's been incarcerated around the home.
Pues, no, porque no tiene tiempo de estar trabajando también.
Not very well because he doesn't have enough time to also be working as well.
So I understand they all work, but how have you been getting around your home?
Pues, él se hace su comida,
He cooks his own meals.
lavan su ropa.
He washes his own clothes.
Y me ayudan un poquito, a veces se pone a barrer,
He helps me a little bit. Sometimes he sweeps,
pero de carrera.
but pretty quickly, you know. And
Hay veces no nos gusta cómo lo hacen.
sometimes we don't like the way they do it.
That's fair. You said something that I wanted to ask you about. You said that Marco apologized to God. What did he apologize for?
Haber venido aquí, yo le decía, quiero pisar una corte.
He apologized for coming here, and I told him once I never want to step in a courtroom.
Y los policías me sentí muy mal.
And when the police came, I really felt very bad.
So, and let me just make sure I understand. You're saying he apologized to God for having you come to court, or did I mishear you?
Pues es como yo le puse a mis hijos, siempre cualquier cosa, cualquier mal pensamiento o cualquier cosa que uno dice, perdona tú a ti mismo y pídele perdón.
I always tell my children that any bad act or any bad thought, I will tell them, forgive yourself and ask for God's forgiveness.
So is it your understanding he was apologizing to God for what he did to Sarah?
Por cualquier cosa, yo no sé hasta qué grado mi hijo haya hecho mal. No lo sé realmente.
Or anything. I don't know up to what extent my son has done something wrong. I don't know exactly.
What do you know of the charges that we're here for today?
Pues realmente no sé saber. Se me olvida mucho.
I really don't know because I forget a lot.
Ese problema. Ese problema que se me olvida.
I have that problem that I forget things.
No further questions from the state.
Any other questions?
Gracias.
All right, Miss. Hi. Thank you so much for coming down.
Gracias.
And I want you to know that I appreciate your testimony. I always say, just tell the truth. Whatever you say, don't worry, it's not going to hurt your son, but it has given me some insight into your son, okay?
Muchas gracias.
De nada.
God bless you.
Oh, thank you. God bless you too.
Me para ir con you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate all the prayers.
Everybody.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, call your next, and I think that's the last.
Yes, the defense called its last witness, Juan Moreno, to testify.
All right. Hello, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can lower your hand. State your name for the record.
Juan Manuel Moreno.
All right. And I'm assuming you're his brother?
Yes.
You all look exactly alike.
Yeah.
All right, you may proceed, counsel.
His brother describes Marco as a loving uncle and responsible man, but the prosecution quickly turns the spotlight back on the gravity of the charges. Can character witness testimony outweigh the severity of the offense?
So you stated to Judge just now you are Marco Moreno's brother. Are you his younger brother or his older brother?
Older brother.
And how would you describe your relationship with Marco?
Oh, it's a pretty good relationship, pretty close.
How long would you say you've been close in your adult life?
In adult life, pretty much more. All of our adult lives, we keep in touch. Sometimes we don't communicate for weeks, but if he's busy with his family, I'm busy with my family, and then we have get-togethers, and it's always been good.
And so in the time that you've known Marco, specifically in your adult life, what do you know of his work history?
Well, his last couple of jobs, I know he's lasted about 7 to 8 years on each one.
All right, and to your personal knowledge, where was he employed at those 8-year periods or 7-year periods?
Let's pass he was working for a pharmaceutical delivery. And then before that, it was Walmart.
And what was he doing at Walmart?
I think he was a stalker.
And to your personal knowledge, was he working at the time of his arrest?
Yes.
And so what kind of work would you expect to see Marco pursue if he were released and he was granted deferred adjudication by this court?
I would imagine he would pursue the same type of work he was doing, delivery driver.
And what assurances can you provide the court as Marco's brother that he will comply with the terms and conditions of deferred adjudication if that is granted?
I'm pretty sure, knowing him, I'm pretty sure he will comply to whatever the court dictates for him to do. I'm confident he is responsible.
And how is he responsible? What examples could you provide?
Well, basic compliance with the law and with family and his children.
And how many children does he have?
He has 2.
All right. And what more would you like the court to know as it considers Marco's application for deferred adjudication?
I would like to tell the court that if he was to be under that condition, that he has the full support of all of myself, my brothers, and my sister, my mother. And also, to this day, I trust him. I have always trusted him with my daughters. He's, I think he was the favorite uncle. And since they were babies till now, they're full-grown women.
How old are they now?
26, 30, 31, and 32.
Thank you, Your Honor. I pass the case.
All right, yes.
Briefly, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Moreno. So I did want to ask you a couple questions. You said your daughter, you have how many daughters?
3.
3 daughters. And correct me if I'm wrong, you said they were all over 25.
Yes.
Okay. Do they have any grandchildren?
Yes,
Or do you have any
I
grandchildren?
have grandchildren. I have there's so many, because I have stepkids also. So altogether I have 11.
Okay, so 11 grandchildren. What ages do they range from?
From 23 to 2.
To 2? Okay, so little ones as well. And you said something earlier. You said you trust him with your daughters.
Yes.
Okay. And you trust him with your grandchildren? And what do you know about the charges that we're here for today? Not if they're true, but what do you know about them?
Well, I know he was accused of doing something to the victim, but I don't know if it's true or not.
And that's not what I'm asking. I'm just simply asking what you know about the charges. So you said he was accused of doing something to the victim. What is your understanding of what he did to the victim?
What I understand is that she was touched inappropriately.
Do you know for how long?
No.
Would it surprise you to know that it occurred from the time she was 5 until she was 14?
It was.
And I'm just asking because you said earlier that your brother is responsible because he's complied with the law, but you would agree with me that if he's violating a child from the ages of 5 to 14, that's not complying with the law, right?
Of course.
And knowing that those are the charges that we're here for today, you still trust them with your children and your grandchildren. So you would still let them hang out and have a part in his life. Any further questions?
All right, thank you so much for coming down. I want to let you know that I just want people to be honest when they're testifying. So there is nothing in your testimony that, hurts your brother. You're just coming down to testify and give the court insight into him. So I appreciate your giving me some insight into your brother. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other witnesses?
No, sir.
And Your Honor, before we do continue, the state did receive the victim impact statement from the complainant. Pursuant to Article 56A157, it was supposed to be with the court and to be considered by the court before sentencing. So the state would tender that pending any objection from defense.
No objection. It's been disclosed.
Excuse me.
Despite the emotional pleas, the reality is stark. The original charge, continuous sexual abuse of a child, carried a mandatory 25 years without parole. But now, a controversial plea deal changes everything.
All right, the court has reviewed the statement. All right, so here's the thing, sir. The state has offered you a cap of 12. That's their offer. So somebody should explain to the court why I should accept this offer, because the charge is aggravated sexual assault of a child. State, you're saying that this happened over years, many years. So why should,
If I may.
yes,
It was originally continuous sexual assault, and then it led to just one count.
yes. So they just pled to one count. So people want me to review the victim impact statement and review all of this. So my question is, why should I be following an agreement of a cap of 12 when I'm assuming, state, you're saying that this is a horrendous offense that has occurred? So why should I follow a cap of 12?
It is, Your Honor, and we have spoken with the complainant and with her family. And given the assurances of trial, and given the fact that the complainant would have to relive her testimony and everything that happened to her while testifying on the stand, this was the agreement that the family, the state, and defense all came to.
And how old is the complainant now?
The complainant now, I believe, is 16 years old.
All right, because the victim impact statement that has been given to the court to review says that it appears that the complainant feels partially that this is her fault because you have other siblings or talking about they want their father back. So I've been handed something that it appears that the complainant is feeling the pressure that this is somehow her fault. So she's going to be 16.
And Judge, if
Yes.
we may interject.
Yes.
Regarding this plea, it involved multiple conversations, extensive review of the evidence. This court approved an investigator to assist in reviewing that evidence. And if you look at the report, indeed, it is voluminous. There are many allegations here, but there have been some that were demonstrated to be unsubstantiated, and that was also taken into account during negotiations.
All right. Anything else, State?
No, just that we have spoken with the complainant, and I understand what the court is saying, how the complainant in that statement may be saying that she's feeling pressure, but the state did speak to her by herself and did go over this offer with her and with her family, and this is what they would like, and this is what the state believes is appropriate.
All right, Mr. Moreno, your attorney has done extensive work on this case for you. She's done a great job from what I can see. The witnesses that she was able to obtain on your behalf, and the offer that she was able to negotiate to limit your liability, because on an aggravated sexual assault of a child, your liability really is 5 to 99 years or life in prison. And on the continuous sexual abuse of a child, your liability is a minimum 25. And if on a continuous sexual abuse of a child case, if you're giving 25 years, you do 25 years. There is no 2 for 1 or good time, or there's none of that. There is no parole. So your attorney did excellent work to have this moved from continuous to aggravated sexual assault of a child and to a cap of 12 years. The court is going to find you guilty. The court will sentence you to 12 years in the prison. There's to be Chapter 62 compliance. There's to be no contact with the complainant or any minors. There's a $1,500 fine, time and money to run concurrent. You get credit for any time served, and there's to be no residing with minors. And let me see. Did you review, I'm sorry, counsel, if you could have him sign the trial court certification. I know you probably did one
We
previously,
did,
but it's been lost somewhere in the system.
because of Odyssey.
Yes,
All right.
we can blame everything on Odyssey.
Would you need to do the certification first before he signs on to it? Or-
No, he needs to sign it first and then I'll tell him what my ruling is on whether or not he can appeal.
Okay,
Oh, if you could just have him sign
right
that.
here.
Yes,
Okay, I apologize.
no problem.
And then you need my information here as well.
Just make sure it goes back with the court report. Okay, thank you.
This is the signed form.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Moreno, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I understanding there's victim impact
Yes,
statement?
Your Honor.
All right. If you'll stand over there, please.
Now all eyes are on Judge Boyd. With a 12-year cap on the table and the victim's impact statement reviewed, she must decide, should the court show mercy or deliver full justice for nearly a decade of abuse?